And welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where we bring enlightened entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics for the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. Here's your host, Max Anjanetta Jones.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Carol's Courage to Confidence segment of the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. I'm so excited to be here today. I've got 3 new guests, but I'm your weather girl. So here in South Florida, it's kind of half sunny, kind of half cloudy, but it sure is hot. We're having 90 degrees and lots of humidity. So our guests are going to tell us where they're chiming in from and what the weather's like where they are. Let's start with you, David, because I know where you are.
Oh, yeah, I'm in Central Florida here. So it's just the afternoon rain just ran through. It's hot and muggy, but it's right in between that sunny and rainy.
Awesome. How about you, Miss Sheles?
Yes, I am in the middle of Houston, Texas, and it is so beautiful out here. It's about 80 degrees, and I am just so excited about all the sun, and I'm trying to soak it all up.
Good for you. And Miss Lisa, where are you chiming in from?
I'm just a little north of Houston. I'm in Cypress, Texas. And yes, it is hot. It is humid. There is clouds in the sky and it's hot.
What are the odds that we have 2 Floridians and 2 Texans on the same show?
Wow.
Right.
Think about it.
This is going to be a good show.
Of course
Yes,
it is. Of course it is.
absolutely.
We've got
Southern show.
We've got an action coach who's going to give us billionaire thoughts. Lisa brought up something in her bio that I really want to touch on. And it's the word mercy. We're going to talk about mercy. We're going to talk about what mercy looks like and how we not only accord that to ourselves, but how we actually accord that to our clients. And then David, oh my gosh, David, for y'all that don't know, created the first social TV network for small business. Phenomenal. So give us a little bit more of your background, David, and then we'll go around the horn. Tell us a little bit more about your bio, what you're doing in the world, and then we'll hop into our discussion.
Sure. So I'm just a all-around nerd, computer, guru kind of person. So I grew up around the computer, and I love building things. Came from my dad, and so I eventually partnered with a couple of individuals to create this first ever social TV program that allows you and me to create content like we're doing right now, and then share that on TVs that are all over the country. In the Twiva network. So your town, let's say they don't have a TV channel yet. Like I have Orlando, right? But in my city where I live, we don't have one. So I created a platform to allow us to publish content to that network.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of first ever. There's a little bit of learning how to talk to people about it, and but then also how to create content for it, because you're not creating 30-minute content. You're creating little clips of what I call is to create a community expert, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like an ad that you'd want to say, hey, look at me, how great I am. You want to kind of show them your craft and show them what you can do. Therefore, you become that community expert.
How interesting. Yeah, we'll have to touch on that a little bit more. I see Miss Sheles like nodding her head. She's
yes, very, very
it's
creative.
For us. It's look at this. We're creating content, but I want to watch it when I'm at the barbershop. I want to watch it when I'm at the restaurant. And I scan the QR code and say, oh, who's playing? What are they talking about? Right. So this is kind of a way that we can all become popular and create ourselves a small little TV network.
Nice. I love that idea. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Miss Sheles, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So as someone that supports the business space for small and medium-sized businesses, I always ask the question, if you were to sell your business today, would the person buying your business be purchasing an investment or a job? And if you're unable to walk away for 3 months and come back and your business is thriving, it's probably a job. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but as business owners, that's probably not what you signed up for. So we work with business owners to help them create a commercial, profitable enterprise that runs without them by helping them increase their cash flow, recruit and retain the best talent, and most important, have time freedom to do the things that they love to do with their family, their hobbies, and probably a big reason why they went into business for themselves.
So you just touched on a subject. Somebody handed me a book not too long ago called The E-Myth of Small Business.
Yes, absolutely. Great book.
I thought, where was this book when I started, right? Because I am a great technician. So yes, right now I have created a job that I cannot sell. So we're going to talk more about that. All right,
Yes.
Miss Lisa, tell us more about what you're doing in the world.
Sure. So I am a storyteller, have always been a storyteller, and I help my clients tell their stories. So we do that through video, we do that through marketing, communications, and PR. And I primarily work with nonprofits because that's how I stay in good trouble. And that's the kind of the rent that I have to pay to be on this earth. So that allows me, I kill two birds with one stone. Not that I advocate killing birds, but you get what I'm saying. So that's what I do. We've created some award-winning documentaries for some of our clients, and that work has propelled me into writing, directing, and producing my first feature film. So that's yeah.
I like
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Yes. Very
And I-
exciting, Lisa.
Thank you.
That
I
is
can't
what-
sell it. I'm doing the work, so I have a job.
So is Sheles the only one that doesn't have a job? David, can you sell your business right now?
I can't sell mine.
I can't sell mine.
No, not yet. But it is the ultimate goal, right? So you do these things a
Absolutely.
million times over, and then you're like, oh, how many websites, databases, software applications can I build? And then you're like, can we just build something big and have it, replicate itself? And that's the dream of everybody. I love that you coach
Absolutely.
people, because I think that's out of probably 98% of small business owners, I think 99 of them have that problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's a journey at the same time, right? It's not this destination where you're like, oh my gosh, I've made it when I hit this point. It's just a point that you're going after, but enjoy the journey while you're on it. And then if you're like most entrepreneurs, they start something else, right? So you think about Elon Musk, he had a great career, and then he did something else and he keeps doing more and more and more. So it's just options. I believe it equates to just having options.
There's absolutely levels that you get to in
if you're the
knowledge.
face of your business.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
I am
go
one of
ahead.
the faces. Yes.
But that's my challenge. If you're the face of the business, how can you
Mhm.
sell the business?
Well, that's a great question. If the entire brand is your face or your name, it makes it more challenging. But there are companies that actually have that in place today that are successful with that because they built systems and they built people around them to represent their name and their brand. So their name becomes their brand. And you can make it work that way as well if you are, the face, as long as you are duplicating yourself. Let other people get into your head and become a duplication of what you have.
I think
that's a
Bobbi
cha-
Brown is a good example of that. Bobbi Brown
Okay.
Cosmetics, she sold it. That's her name. She doesn't own it anymore. That business is sold, and
Yeah.
the brand lives on. Without
Yeah.
her.
Great example. Great example.
Mhm.
100%.
That is a great example. So I'm
Thank you, Lisa.
going to segue over to Miss Lisa's
Yes.
one of her movies that she created, What Mercy Looks Like.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think for me, from what I'm experiencing in today's world, it is rare that someone accords us mercy and grace, right? It's really rare. Bye-bye. And I also would love all of us to have part of the discussion is how good are you at according you mercy and grace?
Mm.
So Lisa, start us off with your, was this a movie that I wrote down, or what was it?
It's a documentary. It's
Okay.
the first documentary we did for a client, and it was our first award winner. And
Okay.
so it's a short doc, so under 30 minutes. And the story is about, Sheles, were you here during Hurricane Harvey?
I was living here, but I went back to St. Louis during that time.
Wow. Okay. So the story centers around volunteers that came to Houston after Hurricane Harvey. So there is an organization that sets up base camps wherever there's been major flooding. So they send out all the equipment, everything you need to muck a house. They send out this team with. So they build a base camp at a church. There are tents everywhere, all kinds of equipment. And volunteers come from everywhere to muck houses. And so we followed a team of volunteers for 6 weeks and watched people come in, come out. And, here in the States, we might get 2 weeks of vacation. Maybe, if we're not business owners, we might get 2 weeks. And I watched people, use their vacation, one full week of their vacation paid. They paid to come here and help people they didn't know. So we took a different journey or a different look. We looked through it through a different lens of how disaster strikes and what that looks like, because usually you end up dehumanizing or victimizing the families all over again. So that's why we took a different spin on this, and we wanted to watch the volunteers, and it was the most amazing 6 weeks. And the organization, and I so applaud this organization with everything that's going on right now. They did not, it's a Christian organization, but they could have cared less if you were Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, one of the alphabet community members. They did not care. All they wanted was to muck your home, save you about anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000, because that work alone was about $5,000 to have somebody come do that and take everything out of your home.
Wow.
And that's what mercy looks like. I don't care about your ethnicity. I don't care about your religious background. I don't care about your sexuality. Don't care about any of that. I just want to help you. Here's a family in need. They've lost everything. Everything was underwater in certain spots for days. And I'll never forget somebody opened the refrigerator that had been underwater for so many days. And that's a smell you never forget. All the mentholating in the world in your mask does not save you from that.
Wow.
That's horrible. Wow. What a story.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn it over to David. And what I'm going to take from that story that I'd like you to touch on, David, is, for me, that's really my view of the world, right? I don't see your color. I don't think about who you have sex with behind closed doors, and I think for me, in my belief system, that's how the world was created to be. So where have we gone awry? And what's one idea you could give us, David, that we could take another step forward to change it?
Yeah, I'm not sure where we've gone awry. I live in a town where we have so many diverse kids on our soccer team that I would say to my kids, and I would say, "Oh, who said that?" And it would be a different color kid, let's say. That's the last that they would ever think to call. And it's really interesting because from the children's perspective, and I have 3 different girls, they all played on soccer teams. They don't look at that. They just know I'm running with my friends. I'm having fun. We're calling, here, catch the ball, or here, I'll kick the ball to you. So I don't know where we've gone awry. I don't know at what stage this gets implanted to it, but we have to get back to this community where we care about the human side of the person.
Yes.
And, back to when it used to be just community-based, and I don't know where it's gone wrong, but the TWEVA, I'll tell you, the TWEVA vision behind it is to bring back that old town feel to, when you see in those old movies, it's like, oh, go talk to Bobby down the street, or go talk to Harry down the street. And it's that small town where everybody knows each other and there's no judgments. That's the way the world should work. And I hope we're getting closer to that, or at least we're learning from some of our mistakes, because as we join and share all of the technological things, like we're talking about your Tesla dropping you off at work and going somewhere else, right? We're having food delivered by strangers. This is stuff that we wouldn't have done 20 years ago, 10 years ago, right? Somebody else deliver my food. Oh my goodness. We're getting into such a sharing world. Let's drop that, at least that judgment side, and get into everybody is human and everybody has incredibly smart, diverse views of the world, that it makes it so interesting. I sometimes tell my family, I say, enjoy the varieties of life. Enjoy that it's different, everything that is different. That's what makes it so new, right? We don't want the same all the time.
No, I love that you said that, because one of the things that I teach on in leadership is empowering questions, and they allow you to come from a place of curiosity. What the hell? Am I back? Oh,
You're there.
Oh, y'all all went black. The screen went black there for a second. I thought it was me. Technology, as he was just talking about, right? Where was I anyway? Oh, empowering questions. So they take the judgment out of the conversation. They bring in neutrality. And it's one of the things that's on my heart to teach as many people as I can, because when you can come from a place of neutrality and no judgment and curiosity, you have fewer and fewer and fewer arguments. And it also allows you to get other people on the same page as you faster and easier without all of the resistance. So I love that. I love that you said that. Sheles, jump in and tell us what you think on this topic.
So I look at it. So on this, I've heard two sides of this, right? The first side is I think we're divided, and I don't know where that happened, in America, that we got so divided to this point. But in general, I feel that everybody wants everything their way, and they believe that their way is the right way. And I don't know when that happened, but I just remember studying John C. Maxwell when I was like in my 20s, right? So that was a long time ago. But I remember that leadership was all about, being open, accepting people being willing to make mistakes and say, I made a mistake, right? In the world that we live in today, it's like you can't make a mistake. It's like you make a mistake and you are not forgiven, and you are attacked in the media like crazy, right? So I think that on that side of it, we have forgotten, and everybody believes it's different. So I can just speak to my mind. Mine is God, right? So if we think about God's mercy and his grace that he has on us, because we are all imperfect people, because we're human. And if we were to just think about that, and if God treated us the way that we treat each other, where
goodness.
would we be? Like, seriously,
Very true.
I mean, we would be in trouble. And so to me, we need to get back to having faith and trusting in God and treating people how we want to be treated, regardless of how you feel, your religion. Most all of the Bibles or versions of sort is treat people how you want to be treated. And the way I see some people treating, people in the world and being judgmental, no way would they want to do that. I think we've taken bullying that was in the classroom and we've expanded it to all of the entire world. Everyone is a bully now. Not everyone, but the people that are bullying people, right? So that's the one side of it. The other side is mercy and grace to ourselves, right? That's a big thing. Number one, when you give to others, so what everyone's doing, the documentary that Lisa created, congratulations, that's fantastic. The person that's giving feels better than the person that's receiving. And so everyone should try to give a little bit of yourself, because you're going to feel good about it. But then I think that when we don't forgive ourselves, when we don't give ourselves any mercy, any grace, then we have to start defending our actions. And when we have to defend our actions, now we're blaming other people. We're not taking responsibility for ourselves, when we should just say, hey, maybe you're not where you want to be today. Or maybe you did something that you shouldn't have done. Forgive yourself and let's try to get back on the right track. Because if you don't, now you start targeting other people because of who you are, instead of trying to fix you. So
makes total sense. I had someone say to me, I used to be really good at forgiving other people, but really not forgiving myself, being hard on myself. And then one day somebody looked at me and they said, so Carol, did you ask God for forgiveness? And I said, yes, I did. And they looked at me and they said, oh, so his forgiveness isn't good enough. In other words, because I wasn't forgiving myself, that you talk about an Oprah aha moment. So they might as well hit me with a 2x4, right? It was like, oh man, right. It all ties into ego and the need to be right. And something that you said that came up for me is, didn't it start a long, long time ago with it? That's how all these religions got created. The Methodists wanted to be better than the Baptists. It wanted to be better than the Catholics. It wanted that's where it all started. This need to be right as opposed to being happy.
Yes.
So how would you share that with someone if you knew someone was struggling? They were a client of yours. Maybe they're your best friend, and you know that they're struggling with always wanting to be right. Put your coach hat on. How would you help them? Lisa.
For the client, that is always right. Usually if this person feels that they're always right, they're not hearing. They don't even have a mindset to hear. So it's kind of hard to try to infiltrate someone who already has a one-track mind and they're not listening. So that's where stories, the power of stories come in. And stories can be so powerful, and maybe get you to, at least it can start to break down some of those layers, and maybe get you to listen. Aesop fables, those kinds of, it's like if you can tell a great story, you might be able to break down those walls and then try to win them over. So for me, if you're dealing with somebody that's just hard-headed and, very opinionated, and it's my way or the highway, and I've had clients like that, they have not remained clients for very long because
They get fired, don't they?
very, very, very quickly. But I usually find that stories can very much so begin to break down or chisel down, or at least grab someone's attention, and maybe for just a few moments they'll hear you and consider what you're saying if you have a good story.
Awesome. How about you, David?
I'm thinking a couple things in here in my head, but maybe previously to, I think most people want to work with a group of people and tell them what to do and have this communication between teams. I think most people, I mean, that's always like you doing something yourself and you want to do that same thing with 5 other people and create a company. And I think what happens is everything's fine until something is not. And then when it's not, that one person that we are talking about, that in a negative light of hard-headed person, I don't think everybody starts that way. I think they hit this trauma part in their life, or that nothing goes their way, and then they keep pushing until something breaks. And then they just say, no, I'm going to do this forever because my way. Because that's not really the successful way the business is run. And I've always been in the background. So I've always thought, let somebody else run. But it really works the best with a team of a few people, because you're not always right. Like let's say you're even 70% right. Some of the most important decisions could be in that other 30%. And it's hard. It's very hard to deal with people that aren't able to see it. I can't say that I've successfully managed that person, but I have dealt with them. But I have seen like major times in their life when they worked with other people and it was good. And then you hit this point, it's like, boom. And then now everything has to be their way. And it's frustrating because you're like, no, let's work together. Let's do something. But they have their way to do things.
To me, when someone's like that, it's based in fear. It's rooted in fear.
Yeah.
It has to be my way, right? Or I'm going to be found out, right? Or you might find out that I'm not all that and a bag of chips that I keep trying to.
Otherwise, this thing will break again. Something that fear is stuck, and it really comes down to a communication issue. Can you sit down and have a 4-hour conversation and get through that fear, or get through this problem that we're trying to solve, and then say, okay, but we may not even solve that in 4 hours. We may take 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But it is definitely communication /fear/ who knows what it is. But yeah, I've seen it.
I'm reading a book right now by a lady named Irma Perón. It came out right after COVID. And one of the things that struck me so far is that so often she's using businesses. I'm sure it happens in our personal lives too, right? How we do anything is how we do everything. And she talks about how often we're not solving for the problem. We're solving for a symptom. We haven't done the work and asked enough of the right questions to get to the problem. Talk to us about your thoughts on that, Sheles.
Yeah. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to get people above the point, which is very similar to what you said, right? And so what I mean by that is when you're below the point, there's blame, right? Excuses and denial. And if a person is below the point, then you cannot get to them until you get them past the point, right? And so if you're in denial, it's just like someone is addicted to alcohol or drugs. And I believe that we are all addicted to something, right? Good or bad. It's just a habit that we form, whether it's good or bad, right? And if you are in denial that that particular addiction is not serving you right or serving you to reach your goals, then I can't help you until you're willing to be above the point, which includes you taking ownership, right? Accountability and responsibility for what is happening in your life and not looking for other people to blame. So the first part is, like you said, Carol, which is the research, ask the right questions to get them to get past the blame, excuses, and denial. And once you can get them to do the tough work in that space, to get past that. And that doesn't happen overnight.
No.
I think about, when I was my first marriage, like it didn't work out. And of course I'm remarried now and I'm happy, love my husband, but I was, I was really blaming myself a lot in the past, and I had to forgive myself. And so it took me a while to get from below the point so that I can truly step into the greatness that I was supposed to have when it comes to having relationships. So the very first thing is you got to ask those tough questions. They have to do the work themselves with help from the coaching community, a therapist, a counselor, whoever they need help from. And then you can start getting them to see the other side once they take ownership, accountability, and responsibility.
So from my perspective, when I teach on empowering questions, they're specific, they're time bound, and there's 2 caveats. You cannot be attached to the outcome, and you're not supposed to sit around and figure out the answer, right? Because the answer's outside of your jar. So one of the things in listening to all of you talk about how you deal with that situation, one of the things I've done in the past with someone who is just like, they're always right, and they try to talk over you, right? Because they don't want to be found out. I go into a place and I go, I'm just curious. Like I totally changed, right? I get my clients not to use that word just because it's a minimizer. Except in this instance, it works, right? I'm just curious. And I said, what one thing, because you want to be specific, what one thing would have to happen right now, time bound, for you to be open to the possibility that there's another point of view? And then I just sit there in the quiet. And sometimes we sit there in the quiet a long time, right? But there's no judgment in that question. There's no judgment in that question. There's no emotion in that question. It's very specific and time bound, and they get to come up with an answer, right? I mean, of course they could say, there is nothing. So then they're telling you that they're, closed-minded. Then you get to try another way. But we're going to be coming towards the end of our show now. Max likes me to keep it right at 30 minutes. So we're going to go around the horn. And we're going to start with David. We're going to be running your contact information below on the screen. I'd like you to tell us real quickly, who's your ideal client and how can they find you and work with you?
All right. So my ideal client, we have 4 different sets of ideal clients, but I'll start at the first is who would put the TVs in is small businesses that have foot traffic. That's who we're trying to help. And then the second would be anybody that wants to be on TV. And so 98% of small businesses can't advertise on TV. We want to help them out. And if you are a content creator or an influencer, we'd love to chat with you. We're trying to build out the network. So go to connect.twiva.com. And there'll be a couple of lists of different things. If you're an influencer, you're a small business, fill out one of the forms and let's chat, because this kind of content needs to be shown more than, dare I say, like a soap opera or something else, right, on TV. There's so much information out there today that you and me are talking about and learning and reading books. I want that content. I'm more of those that, I'm addicted to knowledge, I would say. So I love learning that new thing. And if I see this playing somewhere, I'd listen in. So awesome. Go to connect with us at connect.twiva.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Sheles, tell us where people can tell us your ideal client and where people can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So people can get in touch by going to billionairethoughts.com. Just billionairethoughts.com is the easiest way to get in contact with me. And my ideal client is a growth business. So someone who is interested in being a champion in their field, kind of like the NBA playoffs right now. They all have coaches and they're all the top of their field and they want to win championships. Those are the business owners that we want. So typically they've been in business for a few years and they have a few employees. And on top of that, they are ready to explode. So billionairethoughts.com. And then last but not least, most of my clients are in professional services. So that's like your HR firms, your IT companies, and your accountants, CPAs, those type of companies. And just send us a contact information or follow me on Instagram, which is Sheles_Wallace. And we would love to connect.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, Miss Lisa.
Thank you. So my ideal client, again, I work with primarily nonprofit organizations who have revenues of at least $5 million or more that they're working with, so that they have a marketing budget. So if we need to do that kind of work, they already have those kinds of budgets in place. And then also companies that are regular small businesses that are into sustainability, that are doing good in the world. So anybody that's doing good has an audience, they work with a community, they work with a client, and they need their story told. They need help amplifying that story. Those are my ideal clients. And you can reach me at www.prettyworkcreative.com or even on my own website, lisanalexander.com. I'm on LinkedIn. All the social media channels, you can definitely find me at Lisa N. Alexander.
Awesome. I've so enjoyed having you guys here today. We could have gone for an hour easy. This has been great conversation. I don't know what Max's rules are, but come back. We'll come back and we'll have you again. It's been great. If you're watching this on #replay, make sure and give us your thoughts. Let us know what your comments are. We want to keep bringing you this great content, like David said, great open discussion, and one person at a time, one day at a time, we can change the world. This has been Carol Boston, and this has been the Courage to Confidence segment of the Max and Janetta Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. Come back next Wednesday. We'll be here. Until then, many blessings to each and every one of you.
The Intuitive Entrepreneur Show is hosted by Max and Janetta Jones and is brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, business, community, and life. This has been a production of True Awesome Life Productions, who asked, what does your true awesome life look like? Start that journey today at trueawesomelife.com. For more information on this or past episodes,